there's a little bit of overlap between these talks.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that because it builds context for everything.
Hello, and welcome to the Arts of Language podcast with Andrew Poudois, founder of the Institute for Excellence in Writing, or as many like to say, IEW. My name is Julie Walker, and I'm honored to serve Andrew and IEW as the Chief Marketing Officer. Our goal is to equip teachers and teaching parents with methods and materials which will aid them in training their students to become confident and competent communicators and thinkers. So, Andrew, this is one of those podcasts that we don't do very often, but it's a little bit time sensitive.
Because it is about something coming up soon?
Exactly. So we have an event coming up, and that event is happening on October 14th.
Oh, yes. I know about this event.
Yeah. And this podcast is launching today, September 28th. So if people are listening to this today, they have a couple weeks.
2 weeks and 2 days.
To sign up and register.
Yeah.
And listener, if you're listening to this after October 14th, well, it's still relevant.
Well, you could get the recordings, right?
Right.
But so October 14th, how do we choose this day?
Okay, so this is kind of a unique thing, which is why I'm excited to talk about this today, with the hope that our listeners will join us on October 14th. So let me just say a couple things about that date. That is a Friday. Now, we often do these online conferences where we basically say, hey, Andrew, could you do these convention talks? We did it in June. And listeners, you can still see that recording. It's on our YouTube channel.
And are you going to put the link in the show notes below?
No doubt. Of course we are. But, we gave away prizes. You had some great talks. And our plan, it's kind of a twofold plan. We want to be able to allow people who can't get to a conference or there's no conference near them. Maybe they're in a foreign country. We have dozens of registrations from countries all over the world, literally, which always surprises me. And if they're watching live, that's a completely different time zone.
It is. We don't even know what day of the week it is in Mozambique.
Exactly. And I will just say this right at the top. These conferences are completely free. All they require is time to actually attend them, which means, of course, that they're not completely free because time is precious, right?
Well, it just depends on how you define free.
Yes.
Are you free for dinner is very different than, is this a free dinner?
Exactly right.
This is a free dinner. But you have to be free to get the free dinner.
Yes, exactly. So this is not only just an opportunity for people, like I said, to hear your talks live or hear the recordings of the talks that you do at conferences, but it's also an opportunity for us, quite frankly, to create videos that we can then at the future either give away or sell, or what we're creating is future opportunities for people to listen to you. And we have lots of your conference talks as just audio.
Right.
But these will be video.
Right. And updated and hopefully with higher quality.
Yes.
Sometimes recordings of conference talks, they're just not as clear or easy to listen to, or there's technical problems.
Right.
And a lot of people don't go to conferences.
Right.
And a lot of people might be interested in some of these talks and they might never go to a homeschool conference because they're teaching in a school or they live in Mozambique.
Right, exactly. That would be a little difficult to come to this conference talk. Now, the one that we did in June, we actually invited people in the local community, and actually some came in from out of state to join us in June. We are not doing that in the fall because we are actually having our IEW team join us here in the studio. And so there will be dozens of people that help us out on our IEW team, whether they are customer service people, whether they are online instructors, whether they are putting books together in our production facilities. all of the staff, all of the IEW team will be joining us live in the studio. And this would be one of the reasons I would love for people to attend this live, because when you attend live, you get an opportunity to see kind of the behind the scenes.
Right, but you mean attend live through Facebook or YouTube live stream?
Yes, live stream.
Attend live as opposed to be alive and watch on video, that, watch on social media platform. Well, you know that I really like friendly audiences who will laugh at the right times. That's just critical for my happiness. So this should happen, right?
This is going to be absolutely guaranteed your biggest fans.
All right. So it should go well. So what's on the menu?
So this starts these are Central Time. So it starts at 8:30 in the morning.
Central Time?
Yes.
Well, that's going to wipe out the people in Alaska.
Well, it is true.
They'll have to watch the replay.
It's true.
Or California. It's at 6:30 a.m. Who would want to get up at 6:30 a.m. to watch me talk on Facebook?
You know what? They don't even have to change their clothes. They could just bring their computer or their phone in bed with their cup of coffee and enjoy watching you talk about.
Or they could do it while they're on their stationary bike, getting their morning recharge of burning 300 calories in exercise.
Right. They could do that.
Yeah.
Now, like I said,
I can't do that because I got to be here talking.
It's true. So nurturing competent communicators is the first thing that you're going to be talking at 8:30 in the morning Central Time. And this is actually, I was working not for you, but with you when you were developing this talk. I remember you talking to me about how important it is to do these two things to help a child become better writers.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you said is the number one predictor of good writers is that they were read to out loud in huge quantities as a child. And I said, oh, that was my dad. He did that for us. And I just have many memories of my dad, not just reading to my siblings and me, but also to his grandchildren. Lots of reading out loud to his grandchildren.
And he passed on at a ripe old age just recently.
He did. He just passed away 2 months shy of his 90th birthday.
Wow.
So sweet, sweet, wonderful man.
Well, a great legacy for your family.
Yes.
Yeah. I often introduce that talk by saying, this is the most important stuff I know. So
there's the reason to get up at 6:30 Pacific time to join us. And, not that this usurps that at all, but we do have prizes and things that we give away at the live streaming event. We won't be giving away prizes to our team.
What kind of prizes?
Well, we have been giving away our Structure and Style for Students video courses. We have been giving away gift certificates to our IEW store. We've been giving away a free dinner. No, we haven't been giving away.
At Morton's Steakhouse?
No, we're not doing that.
No, we don't do that. We keep it in-house.
Yeah. So nurturing competent communicators at 8:30.
Okay.
Then at 10 o'clock, we're doing from copywork to composition.
Oh, okay. That is an interesting talk because the whole theme is the importance of imitation.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, even semi or subconsciously, are a little bit afraid of imitation as a method of teaching and learning.
Right.
And yet we know that learning anything basically happens. I mean, you watch any little kid, that's how they learn everything.
Right.
So,
well, you and I just got a little note today from one of our team members. His daughter wrote us a little note. She's 4 years old.
Oh, right.
And I'm sure that her mom told her how to make the letters, and all she did was just copy the letters, and it says Andrew and Luli because her J is backwards. But it was super sweet. And I'm sure that's copy work at its youngest.
She must listen to our podcast.
Maybe she listens to our podcast. Hi, Nora. Thank you for the letter. It was very nice. Okay, so copy work to composition. And of course, that's the progression of the simplest basic form of writing all the way up to a more advanced level of writing and how these steps can be built upon step by step. And eventually you're going to get 18 pages or more.
If you want it.
If you want that.
I don't even want to read 18 pages, let alone write it. But go ahead. What's after that?
Okay, so then 11:30 is By Heart, the Goodness of Memory.
Oh, yes. There's a little bit of overlap between these talks, which will be okay because they'll be standalone.
Yes.
But I like that because it builds context for everything.
Yep. And
memory subject is always fascinating to
yes. And I love that, we were talking a little bit about my dad and what he did. I love that part of this talk you talk about your mother and how she helped her voice students learn things.
Most music teachers. But the interesting thing is I never remember her saying, you have to memorize this. She would always say, you must learn it by heart. And so there's a contextual shift. Memorize, we think, is very modern, mechanical, stifling, unnecessary, especially in today's world where we have continuous access to all the knowledge of humanity through our phones.
Sure.
But by heart, that's indicating that what you learn, you kind of take into your being. It affects your soul. Yeah.
Okay, then we'll have a little lunch break. Probably that will be a time that we'll give away lots of prizes. But then at 1:30, we'll start up again with Fairy Tales and the Moral Imagination. This is a highly requested talk. People love this idea of moral imagination. What does that even mean? And how does that tie into fairy tales?
The term moral imagination was, I think, first kind of published and became widely known through the writing of Russell Kirk. And he talked about different types of imagination.
Oh, okay.
And this being very important to a free society, actually.
Right.
So.
One thing that I like about this talk is that you talk about different types of fairy tales and whether they are good, whether they are twisted, whether they are broken.
Yeah, it's not just fairy tales. This, this understanding of types of stories applies to not just stories, but books, movies, anything that has a storyline. The categories are whole, healing, broken, and twisted.
Okay.
And so there's the four. And, of course, a lot of stories have multiple components there, but it's so helpful as a tool to be able to analyze. And I think right now is one of the hardest times in all of history for parents to figure out what then shall we read?
Or watch.
Yeah, or listen to.
Right. It's so true. So true. And then we're going to end the day with a really powerful talk that's a rather recent talk. It's called Preparation for Persecution, a Curriculum Proposal.
Yes, I created that one for this past year's conference season, not because I wanted to, but because I felt this strong, compelling force that was saying, yeah, you got to do this. And I was a little afraid because I thought, who's going to show up, for a talk on persecution?
Right.
But I did it, and it really resonated with a lot of people. So, yes, I think that will be interesting. Things have changed in the world even since I started doing that just 6 months ago.
Yep. And I sat in on one of the times that you gave this talk at the Great Homeschool Convention in Missouri. And one of the things that you provide is the curriculum proposal is some resources that a teacher or a homeschool mom can use, or even just a parent can use to help prepare themselves and their students for. And I don't want to, spoiler alert here, but I love how you say, even if we are not heading into a time of persecution, it would still be good to do these activities.
Right. It's kind of like anything. If you are tough and prepared and ready for anything, if that thing doesn't necessarily happen, you're better off because you're tougher and you're prepared and you're stronger and smarter and all that. But, there's a lot of, I think, people who are kind of getting the sense that the status quo for education that we have had for the last many decades, my whole life, I'm sure, beyond that, isn't necessarily the best way to think about education for the coming years.
Yes. So, that's true.
Yeah, we'll unpack that and probably step on a few toes, but I like everyone to love me and like me a lot, but I'm not afraid to challenge some ideas here and there.
Yep.
As long as the audience is friendly.
Friendly, yes, exactly. So that's it. 5 talks in one day on Friday, October 14th. And the reason we did it on a Friday is because of it's part of our team retreat.
Right, which is lasting for several days there. And what's the link if people want to go and either get more info or sign up? I mean, you could probably just go to IEW.com and it's on the front page.
There is a banner on the front page that has a picture of you and some fall leaves and all the details. You click there, register so that you can be reminded to show up, and even if you can't come the whole day, I think, we're talking about those of people that are on the West Coast, but what about the East Coast? They get to sleep in, they get to have brunch, and then they get to join us, and then maybe they won't be able to stick around for the afternoon.
And the people in Mozambique. Yeah. What time is it there? I don't know. I will say that it's very possible the people who view this will experience a little bit of initial shock.
Yes.
But I'm not going to say why.
Yes.
Just kind of a general overall change in my appearance from, say, the videos we made 3 or 5 or 7 years ago.
Yes. Well, I won't say anything more to that. It will just be another reason for people to tune in, even just for a few minutes, to see what you're talking about.
The new me.
The new you. Well, short and sweet. I'm sorry, listener, if you are listening to this after October 14th, but not truly sorry because, as Andrew mentioned, we will have a link in the show notes for the recording and also a link in the show notes to register if you are listening to this earlier. So, fall conference.
All right. Should be fun.
Should be fun. Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please subscribe to our podcast in iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or Spotify, or just visit us each week at iew.com/podcasts. Here you can also find show notes and relevant links from today's broadcast. One last thing. Would you mind going to iTunes to rate and review our podcast? This really helps other smart, caring listeners like you find us. Thanks so much.